I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Sorry. One more. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. 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 I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Thank you. Little ad lib there. It was. Keeps things interesting.
All righty. Good morning, everyone.
Good
The
morning.
energy is high here today on this Day of the Dead Sunday. I'm so glad you are all here. And Xander, you're going to have to be quiet, my sweet. I think you all know that I'm Reverend Michelle Vargas, and that it is my joy and honor to welcome you all to this morning to Unity of Monterey Bay, a beloved community co-created with love and intention that welcomes all people, all races, ages, cultures, ethnic backgrounds, economic circumstances, nationalities, and religions, whatever your immigration status, sexual orientation, gender identity, family configuration, and or ability, you are welcome here. And whether you are here with us in person or you're joining us virtually, we know that in spirit, love knows no boundaries and that we are one. As a purpose-driven church, Unity of Monterey Bay is an inclusive spiritual community committed to co-creating an environmentally sustainable, spiritually fulfilling, socially just, and compassionate human presence on this planet. We celebrate our oneness, and we honor the God of each of our understanding, affirming the innate good and the divine essence within each and every individual. Will you please join me now in our statement of faith? And welcome, welcome, come on in. There is only one presence and one power in the universe, God the Good, expressing as infinite God beyond us, intimate God beside us, inner God being us, divine love in action. And so it is. So let us take this affirmation of truth even deeper into our hearts and minds this morning as I share with you these words from the poet Dana Falls, from her poem called Do Not Let the Day Slip Away. Do not let the day slip through your fingers, but live it fully now. This breath, this moment, catapulting you into full awareness. Time is precious, minutes disappearing like water into sand, unless you choose to pay attention. Since you do not know the number of your days, treat each as if it were your last. Be that compassionate with yourself, that open and loving to others, that determined to give what is yours to give and to let in the energy and wonder of this world. Experience everything, writing, relating, eating, doing all the little necessary tasks of life as if for the first time, pushing nothing aside as unimportant. You have received these same reminders many times before. This time, take them into your soul. For if you choose to live this way, you will be rich beyond measure, grateful beyond words, and the day of your death will arrive with no regrets. Whew. So let's breathe into those words as we affirm together. Thank you, God, for this most amazing day. Miracle follows miracle, and wonders never cease. And as we celebrate all these miracles, this morning we celebrate our children, those in our spiritual community, in our families, in our neighborhoods, and in the world, as well as the inner child within each and every one of us. So we hold all children in our hearts, and we see them protected and resilient, creative and evolving, joyous and loved, as we join in our heartfelt blessing. We love you, we bless you, and we appreciate you just the way you are.
This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
So let's all take a deep breath in now and let it out with an audible sigh. You want to do that with me? Oh, that feels good. Let's do another one. Allowing this deep breath to center us so that we may embrace this blissful interconnection with Spirit. And now we invite the chime to call us into the sacred space within. We ring the chime 4 times to call in the 4 directions and to remind us of our interconnection with all of creation and with the sacred circle of life. As we feel it resonate through our very beings, we follow its call into this now present moment within. Focusing on our breath, with each inhale, we open our hearts and minds. We envision our breath reaching every cell of our being. And with each exhale, we see all barriers and obstacles dissolving into the divine flow. And again, as we inhale, we expand the spaciousness within us, moving beyond the limitations and boundaries of our bodies. And as we exhale, we ground ourselves deep within Mother Earth and into our oneness with the universe. Finally, we breathe our awareness into the highest expression of love, light, joy, and peace we can imagine, as we experience a transforming wave of gratitude. With a fullness of heart, we say yes to it all. Embracing, claiming, and knowing the divine Christ Spirit expressing in, through, and as us. And with a final exhale, we say, thank you, God. So now fully centered and transformed by the power of Spirit, we enter into our lesson and meditation time with today's daily word.
We read from Daily Word for November 2nd, shared with permission of Unity, publisher of Daily Word, that can also be found at dailyword.com. And the word is remembrance. I invite you to allow my words to be your words. I remember and bless those who have passed. On this day, I honor and celebrate the lives of my ancestors. I pay respects and remember the many ways my family and friends have enriched my life. I take time to savor the sweet memories that we have shared. I find comfort trusting that life is eternal and our bonds with one another are unbreakable. There is more than enough room in my heart to celebrate the cherished times and precious memories of my loved ones. I am deeply grateful for the many ways they have enriched my life and helped me to grow. I honor the lives of those who have passed and have blessed my life and the world. With heartfelt gratitude and love, I surround them in the light of peace. And from the Scriptures, then he took a loaf of bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to them, saying, "Do this in remembrance of me." Luke chapter 22, verse 19.
I am that I am has brought me to this now moment. Here I am. I am that I am has brought me to this now moment. Here I am to be the voice and to be the heart through which heaven is made known on earth. To be the voice and to be the heart through which heaven is made known on earth. I am that I am. I am that I am. I am that I am. I am. I am that I am. I am that I am. I am that I am. I am.
In witness to the wisdom of the many paths to the sacred, we read from 3 sacred traditions on this morning's topic, death and honoring our loved ones. From Native American religions, someday the great chief above will overturn the mountains and the rocks. Then the spirits that once lived in the bones buried there will go back into them. At present, those spirits live in the tops of the mountains, watching their children on earth and waiting for the great change which is to come. The voices of these spirits can be heard in the mountains at all times. Mourners who wail for their dead hear spirit voices reply, and thus they know that their lost ones are always near. From African traditional religions, those who are dead are never gone. They are there in the thickening shadows. The dead are not under the earth. They are there in the tree that rustles. They are in the wood that groans. They are in the water that runs. They are the water that sleeps. They are in the hut. They are in the crowd. The dead are not dead. Those who are dead are never gone. They are in the breast of the woman. They are in the child who is wailing, and in the firebrand that flames. The dead are not under the earth. They are in the grasses that weep. They are in the whimpering rocks. there in the forest, there in the house. The dead are not dead. And from the Judeo-Christianity, the dust returns to the earth as it was, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 7.
Remember me, though I have to say goodbye. Remember me, don't let it make you cry, for even if I'm far away, I hold you in my heart. I sing a secret song to you each night we are apart. Remember me, though I have to travel far. Remember me, each time you hear a sad guitar, and know that I'm with you the only way that I can be, until you're in my arms again. Remember me. Recuérdame, si en tu mente vivo estoy. Recuérdame, mis sueños yo te doy, te llevo en mi corazón y te acompañaré, unidos en nuestra canción, contigo ahí estaré. Recuérdame, si sola crees estar. Recuérdame, y mi cantar te irá a abrazar, aún en la distancia. Nunca vayas a olvidar que yo contigo siempre voy. Recuérdame. Remember me, though I have to travel far. Remember me, each time you hear a sad guitar, and know that I'm with you the only way that I can be, until you're in my arms again. Remember me. I love the words of that song. Well, I love the movie Coco. I just watched it a few days ago. Remember me. Remember, know I am always with you. Don't forget me. Remember me. For me, this beautiful song reminds us of that universal human desire, that common need that we have to believe that we will not be forgotten when we are gone. We seem to have this need to believe that although we don't entirely understand the mystery of death, that somehow we go on, that somehow our loved ones go on. And we want to know that we'll be remembered by those who loved us when they hear a certain song, or when they see our favorite flower, or when a bird lands on our windowsill. We need to believe that even though we cannot see our loved ones who have passed, they continue to be with us in some way. Many people, when they see a dragonfly or a butterfly or a rainbow or a shooting star in the night sky, they feel their loved ones there with them. This yearning and this belief are all part of our human need to come to terms with our own mortality, with the fleeting nature of life, with the impermanence of it all, with the fact that everyone and everything that we love, including ourselves, will eventually come to pass. And so we cope with this reality by asking our loved ones to remember us, and by vowing ourselves to remember them. And this is really what the celebration of Day of the Dead is all about. Now, I first learned about Day of the Dead when I was a college student living and studying in Mexico. And I had the chance to travel to Michoacan, which is a part of the country that Day of the Dead, the traditions are still very strong. And I was able to see firsthand this beautiful tradition. And I was fascinated by it from the beginning. It seemed so foreign and so strange to my American sensibilities about death. But I found that I was drawn to it, and I wanted to learn as much about it as I could. And I was intrigued, and I continue to be intrigued by the Mexican perspective on death and how different it seems from our typical American Eurocentric perspective. And I think I've always been attracted to the vibrancy and the color of the tradition as well. And so it's my hope that by helping you all to learn a little bit about Day of the Dead and the Mexican perspective on death, that perhaps it can help us shift the way that we see death and that we see our own mortality. Maybe it can help us move a little closer to seeing death as something a little less fearful, a little less anxiety-producing, and a little bit more as a natural and normal part of the cycle of life. And as we engage in what has become our annual tradition of lighting a candle to honor and remember our departed loved ones, my vision is that we are learning to grieve together as a community, to share our common experience of loss that is such a part of what it means to be human. Now, whenever we borrow rituals or traditions from other cultures, or a culture that is not ours, in this case, this is not my native culture, it's really important, it's very important to me that we give them the proper respect and reverence that they deserve, and remembering that it's someone else's tradition. And we can do this by first acknowledging that it's not our own tradition, that it's foreign to us, that we are borrowing it from another culture. And then by taking time to make sure we understand it, that we understand what it's about, its background and its history, so that we can honor it properly. Now, you may have noticed in recent years that Americans have become quite enamored of Day of the Dead, right? It's like an explosion. You see the sugar skull motif everywhere, I think more than ever before. Each year, I think it can't get any bigger, and it just does. I mean, you may notice that Target now has a whole section for Day of the Dead each year, right? And many other stores too. And you're probably seeing on the internet lots of posts on social media and lots of community celebrations of this. Not just in our own community, which has a significant Latino population, but really all over the country. Now, it's interesting to note that it wasn't that long ago that Day of the Dead was really only celebrated in the more indigenous areas of Mexico, or the more traditional areas. And it was pretty much something that was unknown to modern Mexican city dwellers. I lived with two different families in Guadalajara when I was there, and neither of them celebrated it. I had to go somewhere else where it was celebrated to see it firsthand. Back then, there were no Day of the Dead parades, no giant elaborately dressed skeletons exhibited in the town squares, no community Day of the Dead altars in public spaces like we have now. But the movie Coco had a profound effect. Leave it to Disney, right, to change the culture. And so this thing that was once sort of an unknown holiday just blew up. And of course, Coco also showed the industry that there was money to be made from Day of the Dead. A lot of money. This year in Mexico alone, experts are predicting that Day of the Dead will bring in some 11 billion pesos. Now, I love pesos because they have these, exorbitant numbers. I remember my rent used to be 300,000 pesos a month. I think it was like $100. So this is the equivalent of 623 million in American dollars, that revenue that Day of the Dead generates for Mexico in tourist revenue, hotels, and all of that. And this also represents a 60% increase over last year. Now, last year I shared this, and I thought it was already huge, and it has more than doubled. In total, there are about 300,000 tourists, as well as 5.2 million locals, that will be attending the Day of the Dead celebrations all around Mexico, but especially in the capital of Mexico City, where 1 million people are predicted to attend the annual Day of the Dead parade. And are you seeing? This is just a little glimpse of what that parade looks like. Now, this represents twice as many people who attended last year. So it's blowing up. And it seems to me that this sudden popularity of Day of the Dead on both sides of the border, really, has both positive and negative aspects. On the one hand, the movie Coco showcased Mexican culture for a world audience in a way that it had not been before. It introduced generations of people around the world to this beautiful, vibrant tradition. And to a certain extent, it has resulted in reacquainting Mexicans with their own historical traditions. Again, the power of Disney, right? It's just amazing. So those are all good things, right? But on the other hand, it has become very commercialized. And I think that Coco did a beautiful job of showing this beautiful holiday. But there's always the risk that some folks will misunderstand the true meaning of it, or they won't take the time to learn about it. My fear is that some people may end up thinking that it is more about the cute, colorful skeletons, which I love too, than it is about really understanding and respecting this ancient tradition. That's why it's become one of my personal missions each year to educate at least our own community about this holiday. So the first thing you need to know about Day of the Dead, Dia de Muertos in Spanish, is that this is an ancient tradition. And when I say ancient, I don't mean California ancient, which is like 100 years ago. We're like, ooh. I'm talking dating back some 3,000 years at least to the rituals honoring the dead that the pre-Columbian cultures in Mesoamerica had. Now, the Aztecs are the culture that we are probably most familiar with, but the truth is that these traditions even predate the Aztecs, who are actually one of the more recent civilizations, one that was thriving when Cortez arrived in the Americas in 1519 and conquered the Aztec Empire in 1521. The ancient Aztecs, or the name they call themselves, Mexicas, they had festivals and rituals to honor the dead during the harvest seasons, right? We talked about this. And when the Spaniards arrived with Catholicism, the dates were moved to coincide with the Catholic holidays of All Saints' Day on November 1st and All Souls' Day on November 2nd. One of the most fascinating things about Mexico, and I cannot go down this tangent because we'll be here all day, but is this melding of the ancient traditions, the indigenous traditions, how they got melded with Catholicism. Mexican Catholicism is its own thing. So it's just super fascinating. And that's why I find this whole thing to be really intriguing. So it's actually Days of the Dead because it's celebrated over a number of days, not just one day, but many days. And it stems from the traditional Mexican belief that at this time of the year, the veil between worlds is thinner than normal. And for a few days, the souls of the dead are given special license to return back to the land of the living to visit their relatives. Many Mexicans make special trips to the graveyard at this time, where they spend days cleaning and decorating their loved ones' graves. And many even bring food and drink and have a picnic right there among the headstones. There's often music, as there is in pretty much all Mexican activities, and sometimes even dancing. Okay, now dancing in the graveyard seems a little strange to our American sensibilities, right? And then many families construct what are called ofrendas, or in English, altars. They're literally offerings in their homes, like the one that we have in our own sanctuary. And these are for the loved ones who are going to be returning. Now, these altars, they contain very similar things. Everywhere you're going to see a lot of creative differences between the way people create their altars, but there's some things that are common. And these elements, again, go back to the Aztecs. So the first and most important is the marigold. You might be able to smell the marigolds that we have in the back. I'm hoping they're not bothering Denise too much. But this is important because the smell, okay, so yesterday, it's really funny, we went all the way, well, we were already in Salinas, but we went all the way over to the east side where I knew they would be selling them, they're literally selling them on the street this time of year, to buy some cempasúchil, which is the marigold in Spanish. And the man said to us, they have smell in Spanish, you know. And I guess that's because, you know, some modern hybridized or whatever genetically modified flowers don't. It was very important to him that we know that these flowers did have smell. That is because the strong smell of the marigold is what they believe, one of the things that they believe helps lure the souls of the dead back to visit. I thought that was really fascinating. Many folks also put copal, which is a type of a strong-smelling incense, which I would not inflict upon our community, but they put that on the altars, also to guide the souls of the dead. Okay, now the sugar skulls. We got sugar skulls on our shirts, we got them in our earrings, everything, right? Where does this come from? Well, if you remember anything from history in grammar school, the Aztecs were fierce, ambitious warriors. Right? And after they conquered another tribe, they would clean and dry the skulls of their victims and display them on racks. Are you seeing that? Yeah. Okay. I mean, that would sort of warn me off, wouldn't it? So it goes way back, this idea of displaying skulls. And the skull still represents death in Mexico today, and Mexicans display skulls of every size and every substance that you can imagine. They paint their faces like skeletons, all kinds of merchandise, as you've seen, with skulls on it. But the traditional thing is candy skulls. And so you can go to your local bakery, and you can do this in Salinas this time of year. Many of the bakeries have them, and you can find skulls made out of chocolate, marzipan, sugar. And they often, well, in Mexico, because Mexicans typically, well, that's changing. Mexicans have all kinds of names now, but typically they drew from sort of a central pool of names, right? And so you could go, it's like a keychain. You could go and get one with your name on it. But now they leave a blank space if you want to write your name in. Now, the most important thing that goes on the altar is pictures and mementos of the loved ones. And if you've seen the movie Coco, the whole movie revolves around this picture being placed on the altar, so that the person is able to come back and visit. It's also traditional to fill the altar with whoever you're honoring, and it can be multiple people, the whole family, to fill the altar with that person's favorite foods, their favorite drink, usually a bottle of tequila, or their favorite beer, even some of their personal belongings or other mementos. Traditionally, they also place some salt and a glass of water, because we all know that the dead get thirsty when they're traveling back to the land of the living. And then there's always pan de muerto, which is the bread of the dead, a special type of... Mexicans have bread for every kind of holiday. And so, again, in Mexican bakeries over in Seaside, you can get now, this time of year, pan de muerto. And it's they make it all different ways, but one of the bakeries I go to literally makes these giant breads in the shape of skeletons. And they're all, decorated, and often they have a sugar like the face of Jesus or the Virgin or one of the saints that they plop on there. And it's often flavored with orange or anise. Now, all of these things are placed on the altar and meant to encourage the souls to take advantage of this time that the veil is thin and come back and visit. It's to make them feel comfortable and welcomed. Now, you might wonder, okay, so in Mexico, you will literally see pots of beans and rice and mole and all of their favorite foods. Now, what happens to all that food? Does it just go to waste? They eat it afterwards. You know, it's there to honor their loved one's favorite things, but they eat it. So the Mexican perspective on death is really fascinating to me because, again, I feel like it's so different from our American way of seeing death. And this understanding that they have of death also comes from their ancient indigenous roots. So the Aztecs, not only the Aztecs, but that's what I'm talking about today, viewed life as being cyclical. Okay, so death gives way to rebirth and death again. And so for them, death was just part of this natural cycle that they saw playing out all around them in nature. In fact, it's been said that for the Aztecs, life was the dream state, and death was the true life. Here's a quote that describes this, which is attributed to an Aztec king. "We come only to sleep, only to dream. It is not true that we come to live on this earth. We become as spring weeds. We grow green and open the petals of our hearts. Our body is a plant in flower. It gives flowers and it dies away." And so death is seen as a continuation of life, a change, right? But not the end, a new beginning more than an ending. And so rather than avoiding death, especially this time of year, Mexicans face it head on. They look right at it. And they even seem to revel in images of death that may offend our non-Mexican sensibilities, right? Or we may find distasteful. Have you seen images of, those giant skeletons and they're dressed up, or a bride and groom skeleton? Or you may see pictures of skeletons riding bicycles, all these different things. Now, those images of the skeletons doing everyday things were popularized by a famous Mexican artist called Jose Guadalupe Posada. And they show Mexicans wearing fancy. There was also a lot of political satire involved because a lot of times the skeletons were dressed up like dandies, so it was sort of mocking the rich. It's multi-layered. There's a lot there. But Mexicans, in this way of seeing skeletons riding bicycles and such, it's a playfulness. It's a mocking of death. It's almost like saying, I know you're there, death. I know you're coming for me, and so I'm just going to be playful with it. But can you imagine if we could embrace even a fraction of that? The celebrated Mexican poet Octavio Paz said this: "The word death is not pronounced in New York, in Paris, or in London because it burns the lips. The Mexican, in contrast, is familiar with death, jokes about it, caresses it, sleeps with it, celebrates it. It is one of his toys and his most steadfast love. True, there is perhaps as much fear in his attitude as in that of others, but at least death is not hidden away. He looks at its face." So it may be that Mexicans fear death as much as anyone else. They are human, obviously, just like us. But the difference is that they don't hide from it. They don't pretend like death is not there. And every year with Day of the Dead, they get more intimate with death and its trappings. And it's more than most of us are comfortable with. But here's the thing. Mexicans don't do it alone. In fact, Mexicans don't do anything alone. Everything is done together, in family, in community. So this Day of the Dead is a family affair. It's a community celebration, and it brings friends, neighbors, and extended family together to grieve together and celebrate. The grieving and the celebrating are inextricable from one another. And so this is what I believe that we are learning to do here at UMB with our annual Day of the Dead tradition. And I notice over the years that we're getting, am I right, that we're getting more comfortable with it? A little bit? Yeah? Did it seem weird the first time I talked about this? And so, as I shared last week, I introduced this tradition to our community because I believed there was something profound that it could teach us about death and about grieving and about doing it in a communal way. Now, in American culture, we're not terribly skilled at grieving. We tend to avoid the topic of death. And grieving is seen as a very private thing, right? When someone's loved one dies, we tiptoe around the way we talk about it. We don't want to hurt them. We don't want to offend them. We don't even want to bring it up, right? And so what we find, though, is that when we share our grief with one another, when we make ourselves vulnerable, and I have seen this over the years that we've been doing this tradition, what is revealed to us is our common humanity. We see that grief is something that every single one of us experiences. And this bonds us as a community. And as we learn to grieve together, we learn to comfort one another and to share this aspect of what it is to be human. So this is what I'm hoping with this tradition, is that we can get a little more comfortable thinking and talking about death, and that we can learn to grieve together in ways that connect us, that bond us as a community, and that make us feel less alone in our grief. And by taking time each year to honor our loved ones, talking about them and sharing stories with each other, we are reminded again that our loved ones never leave us, that their bodies may be gone from this earth, but their spirits are with us, just as the scripture readings that we had said, and that the love we share with them is eternal, never dies. And this can give us a lot of comfort and satisfy that universal human need that we have to both remember and be remembered. So we begin this morning with some sharing. And I've invited a few people to come up and share who they are remembering this year. And this year I've added photographs, so we'll see a picture of the person. Kathy, would you like to start us off? Get the picture? Do you want the light on?
Do I need a microphone?
Yes.
Is it on?
Yes. Just talk right close into it.
Okay. That's my brother Doug. He left the world last August, and it was just the two of us, the two kids in the family, so I miss him quite a bit. He was kind of an unusual kid. Instead of a stuffed teddy bear, he had a stuffed skunk. He went to Humboldt State and majored in wildlife, and he was always a big nature lover and a wildlife lover, particularly birds. He was also a music lover, and he played the baritone horn, and he was a member of the Humboldt State Marching Lumberjack Band. He was always very proud of that. And the uniform for the Marching Lumberjacks was hiking boots, boxer shorts, suspenders, a yellow T-shirt, and a hard hat. And the conductor conducted with an axe. And they would do popular numbers like the Monty Python song, I'm a Lumberjack and I'm okay. And when they would do a parade rest, they would lie down in the street. Oh. So he was a proud lumberjack all of his life. Let's see. He married his college sweetheart, Donna, who was also very involved in nature and birds. And they traveled a lot together, taking pictures of animals. Her pictures are beautiful National Geographic quality birds, bird and animal pictures. They traveled to Canada and took polar bear pictures, and to Europe and a lot of different places. You can find her pictures online. Her name is Donna Pomeroy, and mostly birds, but all kinds of beautiful pictures. When about 15 years into their marriage, they adopted a little boy from Russia, a cute little blonde Russian boy named Kevin. And he had those Russian gymnast genes. He became a champion gymnast and traveled all over to be in gymnastics competitions. And then when he went to college, he was a diver. And he has diving awards and diving records for his diving competitions. And my brother and his wife and Kevin got Kevin to all 50 states by the time he was out of college. My brother and I had things in common that he didn't share with his wife. His wife liked nature and birds, but theater bored her. She didn't have any interest in it. So Doug and I would go to theater together. We would travel to Ashland to go to Shakespeare together. And he was always healthy. He was always healthy. I don't remember anything in particular ever being wrong with him. I remember one time telling him that he was the white sheep of the family. And he said, well, statistically, someone had to be. So he got pancreatic cancer a year ago last summer. And he went through the chemo and the surgery, and 6 months later he got a clean scan, and we thought everything was fine. And then a few months later he got his 6-month scan, and he was all full of cancer, and he died just a few weeks later. So even though we knew he had been sick, it was still a shock that he died so quickly. And I asked him what I could do to honor him, and he said to live a happy life.
Thank you, Kathy. Next up is Kay.
When Michelle when she asked me to speak, I said, okay, I'll talk about my mother. And then when I started writing things out, I was going, wait a minute, I think I did this before. And maybe some of you will have heard some of the story about her. But one thing I want to say about Ethel is she was a fun-loving lady. My mother, Ethel Sharp, passed away 20 years ago, and I still miss her. She and my father, who passed 30 years ago, were fun-loving people. They lived to play and have fun, and they would dance until dawn. Mom didn't have a lot of rules when I was a teenager because she instilled in me to use my better judgment.
How'd that work out?
Many of my friends had strict parents, which caused them to be rebellious and wild and test their limits. She trusted me to make the right decisions, giving me the power over my life. I don't think I ever let them down, except when I lived as a hippie one summer in California, living in a tent, but that's another story. Mother adored Michael because they teased each other. And on more than one occasion, she told him, "You're nutty." Yes. Late in life, she developed vascular dementia, and it fell upon me to see over her care. So I moved her from Oklahoma to an assisted living center here in Monterey. She never lost her sense of humor and her love of dancing. Her center that she lived at had pianists come about monthly to perform for the residents, and she'd get up and dance, clapping her hands, trying to get others to get up and dance, even though they were in a wheelchair. She really wanted everybody to have as much fun as she did. And so on my way home from work, I'd check on her, sometimes taking her to get ice cream, which she dearly loved. One time I picked her up, and she was obsessed with the hem of her shirt. And she just went this, 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 this. And she was in her own world. So I decided, well, I'll take her over to the house, and she can see Michael. So we came in the house and walked into the sunroom where Michael was working out on his Stairmaster wearing his swimming trunks. And she looked up at him and she said, well, put some clothes on. Michael nearly fell off the Stairmaster. He was laughing so hard. When her time was nearing the end, and I was blessed to be with her, I held her hand, telling her it was okay for her to go. Her passing was beautiful, and I felt so privileged to experience it in reverse, what she experienced when I took my first breath. She passed 1 month after my partners and I sold our 19-year-old business, and they had moved away, so I was pretty depressed. A couple of months later, while working in my garden, which gardening she instilled in me, the love it she instilled in me, I was crying, just wishing I could see her again. And I heard her voice saying, Sugar, anytime you're missing me, just look in the mirror. And she's right, she's there.
Thank you, Kay. I'm going to call you Sugar from now on, by the way. Larry. You ready, Larry?
I'm going to keep a hat on to keep myself warm. That's my brother Eddie. He was a boilermaker. Out of high school, I went to the steel mill, and he worked there also for about 6 months or so. And then he went to be a boilermaker apprentice, and he was a boilermaker. So boilermakers, they're like welders. They weld these big tanks for the gas companies and the oil companies. So he made a lot of money. And he was good with his money. He was a miser. but he bought things, took care of his family. He's a little less than I'm a little less than 2 years younger than him. So I wrote, thank you for a chance to keep my brother alive. I was told that I could say something brief. I think it'll be healing for myself as well. As I searched for words to say or describe how I felt about my brother, I was lost for words. However, one word felt right. Shattered. Yes, shattered just about says it all. Then I said the people might want more than that. So here it is. My brother, less than 2 years older than myself, did not like to wear hats. He did not ever want to own a truck. And if you ever saw him with shirt and tie. You better take his picture. My brother was a real cool dude. Nobody's fool. He brought us home at a very young age. He paid his way. He was also blessed with the gift of the gab. He was my father's favorite. I did not mind because I thought I was my mother's favorite. One time I visited Chicago for my sister's birthday. Her birthday is 2 years and 2 days after mine. The party was in a place where alcohol, and it had a restaurant there, so food was served. And you could dance and have a party there. That's where her birthday party was. That was probably last year. But you could not bring a knife to cut the cake. This was, just a few years ago, last year. So people would bring cupcakes for the birthday party. I am usually with my brother the whole time I'm in Chicago. He knew when it was time to hold up or fold up. That means it's time to leave, time to go home. It's getting dangerous. Anyway, we went to this bakery where they baked the best cake. Apparently, he had ordered one. Long story short, that night at the party, he talked to the owner, and the owner let him bring a knife in to cut the lemon cake. That's how he could talk his way in. So I appreciate a chance to, I don't know if I said this, but I appreciate a chance to keep him alive, just because you heard about him and everything. And I'm going to miss him a whole lot. I don't know if I'm going to go to Chicago because, he's not there to tell me when to fold up.
Oh, thank you, Larry. Walter?
Good morning. I was surprised when Guruji asked me to speak about my brother. I will, but I want to speak about you. I remember that when I was in Florida, accompanying him on his last journey, what I call his last sleep, many of you were there with me. You wrote me, okay? You wrote to me. And you kept me company from here to there and back. My brother's the guy on the right-hand side, no, on the left-hand side, okay, with the baseball hat on. He was my younger brother. He was my mother's favorite. And I must say I was my father's favorite. Okay. My father used to boast about me. My mother used to put up with him, stand up for him, defend him. Even when he was doing bad, she stood by him. Okay? I miss him. He passed away in February. And I was there with him. And I saw him in a state not like this. I don't know what more to say besides saying that I'm the last of the breed. I'm the last of the brood. After me, that's it. Those who were born in Panama are gone. I've spoken to several of you about being the last of the breed and the last of the brood. And you were there with me when I came back. You were here. You showed up when I came back. I don't think that it is lost on me that he departed before me. I don't think it's lost on me that I stand here, the very, very last one, before you. It is a strange sensation to see him there and know him gone. Strange sensation. It was a strange sensation accompanying him, like the Greek word, the psychopomp. There's a space in my soul that is unfillable. Everyone is gone. Everyone. Grandpa, grandma, uncles, aunts, brothers, father and mother. Everyone is gone. I never, ever dreamt that we would part. Never dreamt it. He was in Florida. In February of this year, he was going to make a clean sweep, a clean departure from New York City. He spoke to all of us here where he was and where he intended to do. Then the very next week, he had a massive cerebral accident that consumed 7 to 80% of his cerebral function. Unrecoverable. So the doctor asked me, Walter, we could keep him alive by hooking him up to that machine, putting a tube in his tummy, and feeding him for the rest of his life. I consulted with my family. Do we want him to live with us that way? Would you want to live that way with a hole in your tummy and feeding? And they said, Walter, call it. I called it. I told her no. No hole in the tummy, no machines to have him breathe in and breathe out. Let's send him home. So she left me by myself in the conference room. By the window, there was a dove. It was his mother. She was there when I was there. She came to his window in his room and watched me looking at her son. 3 times she did that. I said, Mom, I'm going to send him to you. I told her that. So I sent him to her. Yeah. The return back here was heavy. Going from East Coast time to West Coast time was hard on this body. Coming back to you and seeing you was hard on me. I remembered you there, and I was glad to see you here. I didn't have a friend there, but I had friends here. Okay. So, that is him with the baseball cap. There's an additional person that I miss. Her mentor, your pastor. Okay. I hear of him. I've heard of him. I've seen pictures of him. I've seen his brood. It's growing. Okay. I wear his dashiki. She sold it to me. Okay? Two weeks ago, on Vicky's 25th year as pastor, there was a big insect that came flying through here. Vicky said no insect has ever flew through here. And it hung out with her. Because I recorded it on the VG. It hung out with her. I said to them, that was your mentor, Rory. Okay? Came to celebrate with his wife. Okay? Her 25th leadership and ministerial guidance of this church. And to say hello to you. I knew it was him. It couldn't have been anyone but him. Because he hung out with her here. Okay? So I need to say to him, he's not a blood brother. He's a soul brother. Okay? Your past leader, your past minister, he had a sense of attitude, a sense of game when he pronounced. I'm told that he walked through here in a homeless person, get up, startled you. She says, if those two, him and I, ever got together, there'll be revolution in here. Okay? I said, probably. So, two remembrances. My departed brother and your departed leader. Thank you for speaking to me about him. That's how I know him. And thanks for listening to me about my brother. Much, much, much love to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Walter. Thank you, each and every one of you that shared. It's just beautiful. I mean, I feel like I know these people now. And I feel like I know those of you who shared a little bit better because I know more about your loved ones. So that's the beauty of this. So now we're going to move into the candle lighting portion of the ceremony. And if the ushers would get the lights, that'd be great. So I invite you to just relax and get comfortable and open your own heart to remember your loved ones. And know what happened. Know that sadness may come up for you. It's probably already there, and that's okay. That this is all a healthy part of the process. And if, as we're going through this ceremony, you would like to write the name or names of the people that you are remembering today, you got a little slip. Did everybody that wants one get one of these? Anybody need one? Can the ushers bring a couple? Where'd that usher go? Thank you, Robin. And then as we go through the ceremony of coming up to light a candle, you can place the slips in this little basket, and I will pray over them personally, and then I will send them on to Silent Unity, where they will be held in prayer for another 30 days. So the ceremony involves lighting candles to honor the past, the present, and the future. So we begin by lighting the candle of the past. In honoring the past, we call forth the powers of strength, wisdom, and love. We remember those who have loved, those we have loved, and those we have lost. For some of us, the loss of these loved ones may be fresh. For others, it may have been some time since they passed. But either way, we know that their absence is something we will carry with us forever. We may be experiencing intense grief, or our sadness may have mellowed into a dull ache. Whatever we are feeling, we hold our own tender hearts lovingly and we gently make room for all of it. We take time to remember these dear ones, honoring them and the lives that they lived on this earth, recalling their special contributions, and feeling grateful for all that they gave to us and how they blessed our lives. And in return, now we bless them. We hold our memories of them dear, and we remember them often. And in the words of Unity's poet laureate, James Dillett Freeman, if I had never loved you, if I had never lain heart hearing heart beside you, I would not have this pain. I would not have this sorrow. I would not have this pain, but if I had not loved you, I would have lived in vain. Now we light the second candle, which represents the present. In honoring the present, we call forth the powers of understanding, will, and order. Though our dear ones have moved on to the next adventure, we must learn how to live in the present without them. We walk the delicate balance between remembering and letting go. We allow ourselves all the time we need to find our way through our grief. As time goes by, we continue to think of our dear ones. We may light a candle, set a place at the table, tell stories with our families, and take time to look at old photographs. In this way, we keep their memories alive, and we learn to live the new shape that our life has taken. We learn to live ever more present in this now moment, accepting life on life's terms. And we lean into the mystery, and in doing so, we find freedom. And we begin to feel joy bubbling up in our lives once again. From the Native American tradition, I give you this one thought to keep. I am with you still. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning's hush, I am the sweet uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not think of me as gone. I am with you still in each new dawn. And finally, lighting the third candle for the future. And in honoring the future, we call forth the powers of imagination, faith, and zeal. We allow hope to spring forth in us again and again, guiding our way forward. We trust in the universe's perfect plan for our lives. We hold fast to the truth that love never dies, it merely changes shape. We allow Spirit to guide us, and the love we feel for our dear ones keeps us ever moving forward. We let go of worry and concern, and we trust in what will be. And in the words of Sri Chinmoy, death is not the end. Death can never be the end. Death is the road. Life is the traveler. The soul is the guide. So now it's time for each of us, as you wish, to come forward and light a candle to honor your loved one. So let's begin by saying our blessing together. I honor, remember, and bless my dear loved ones. So as you're ready, you can come forward, take a candle. You can light it from any of these and place it in the bowl. And that's, yeah. So I invite you now to just take a few more moments in memory of your loved one. And imagine holding that candle that represents your love for them and taking it deep within you, where you let it live in your center, where it will continue to burn brightly, keeping your loved one and your memories with you always. And so as we bring this ceremony to a close, we take a moment to feel gratitude for the wisdom in these ancient rituals, the comfort we take from them, gratitude for the Mexican perspective on death that is helping us to broaden our own understanding, for this spiritual community which provides a safe, loving, supportive space in which to grieve, and for this sacred time spent in communion with our dear ones. And so it is.
And so
Amen.
it is. Amen. It's kind of tough to break that energy. Thank you all for those who have shared today and remembered your loved ones. So moving on, Unity of Monterey Bay is the collective consciousness and commitment of all of us who give of our time, treasure, and talent in order to sustain this spiritual community that is dedicated to transforming lives. We know that prosperity is a state of mind that finds blessings in every situation and abundance and joyous generosity. We transform all appearance of fear or lack into a faith-filled peace of mind by shifting our attention to thoughts of gratitude for the abundance of God's good in our lives. As the ushers now please come forward, I invite you to think of something specific that you are grateful for in this now moment. And now, with our hearts and minds overflowing with gratitude, we breathe into the divine flow of God's good, trusting that we are enough, and that we have enough, and that there always is enough to both have and to share. For those of you who give online through our website, have set up monthly auto payments with your bank, or give by credit card, we are so grateful for your support. And we ask that you join in faith and gratitude as we pass the offering baskets this morning by holding and blessing the basket as it passes you. And I'd just like to add in that this is the 5th Sunday. This is our normal building Sunday. So if there's any way that you could help our beautiful home, in the past we would pass the baskets twice, but I'm thinking just if you want to grab a separate envelope or however.
Or mark on your check.
Or mark on your check, building fund, that would be so appreciated. Our loving home does need a little bit of tender, loving care. So now, would you please join me in our offertory blessing? I am an open channel for God's infinite good. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies everything I give and everything I receive. I am both blessed and a blessing. Thank you, God.
Oh, we never know where life will take us. We know it's just a ride on the wheel. And we never know when death will shake us. And we wonder how it will feel. So goodbye, my friend. I know I'll never see It's okay now. Goodbye, my friend. A life so fragile, a love so pure. We can't hold on, but we try. We watch how quickly it disappears, and we'll never know why. But I'm okay now. Goodbye, my friend. You can go now. Goodbye, my friend.
Thank you, Denise. That was beautiful. So it is with great joy that we bless and give thanks for these gifts and offerings that demonstrate our collective commitment to the spiritual work of love and transformation in our lives and in our world. And we dedicate this offering, our lives, and this ministry to more fully expressing the Christ light that is the truth of our being, and inviting all people to know God's love. Finally, knowing that one with God all things are possible, we affirm together that the good is now, the rest is blessed, and the best is yet to be in our lifetime.
Gently.
Thank you, God. Well, we want to thank, oh, you know what? I didn't list the musicians. Do you know who that one was? Carla Bonoff.
Yeah, Carla Bonoff was that one.
The people that wrote the Coco song. I'm sorry, I don't have them listed.
All the composers that we...
But how awesome is it to have our combo here, David on bass and Devin on just everything, because he just picks up an instrument and plays it, and it's so awesome. So can I give a little plug?
Yeah.
Devin is dropping an album on Tuesday called The Yeti Bear.
Come on here so they can
Yeti Bear?
Come on here so they can see your shirt.
There's merchandise, you guys. You can get it on YetiBearTruth.com because the truth is out there. So congratulations, Devin. We are so happy for you. It's a concept album, which is so old school, and I love it because hardly anybody does this anymore. But the whole album is about these trips that he's taken around Northern California, right?
Yep.
And searching for the Yeti Bear.
Yep.
So awesome. We are so blessed. Devin is so incredibly talented, and we are just... And Denise and Sue and moi.
And Robin.
Everybody?
All of us.
And Robin.
All of
and,
us.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. All right, real quick. Our potluck Thanksgiving luncheon is coming up quickly, 3 weeks from today. So there are sign-ups in the sacred grounds. So you can sign up saying that you are attending, and then also let us know what you're bringing, just so we can make sure that everything is covered. Our holiday bazaar, our holiday bazaar is beginning next week.
No, I can't.
Oh, the next week, the week after Thanksgiving. Okay, it says the next week. The week after the Thanksgiving luncheon, so the 26th. So start bringing in items. These are small, crafty items, things that can be that are in good shape that can be resold. And if you want to help set up, talk to Paulinda, who is our holiday bazaar person.
Queen.
Huh? NK? NK. It's also going to be time to dedicate poinsettias. You can make a $20 donation in the sacred grounds to sign up to dedicate a poinsettia and provide the name if you are honoring someone. And also, we do need ushers. And so it's a great way to meet people and get lots of hugs and such. So if you are interested in ushering, well, I want to say see John and Nancy, but they aren't here today. But when they're here, John and Nancy are our usher captains. They'll be here next week. And don't forget that we are having a potluck after the service downstairs. We have lots of goodies left over from the party, and Paco and I made a whole bunch of chicken and cheese enchiladas, and we got beans and rice and lots of other goodies, cupcakes and everything. So don't worry whether you remembered to bring something or not. Not important. There's plenty of food. Just come on down so that we can share time together and continue this sharing and this fellowshipping with some good eats. All right, as we bring our service to a close this morning, we are so grateful that you have joined us, and we hope we've made you feel at home in our community, and we want you to know that wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. Chaplain on duty today is Robin. Robin is available to pray with you after the service. So with all of that, we are ready to form our closing circle for our prayer for protection and our peace song. I know, God. It's funny, I kicked it in previously and it popped back out.
It's been loose for a while.
Okay. The spider. So one more time in this circle of love and prayerfulness and community, we just hold those memories of all of the dear ones that we are remembering today. Just holding them close, feeling the way those memories warm our own hearts, and with the gratitude of being able to share this with one another in community. So please join me in our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as creator. Family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the